Hi everyone, welcome back to the Spring Garden series. We're growing our spring vegetable gardens together and we're doing it in a quick, simple, and inexpensive way. It's been a lot of fun. So I thought I would bring my Grow Light box out today to show you the progress of the seedlings. Today is mistakes not to make when you're watering and fertilizing your seedlings, and then how to do it correctly so your seedlings grow nice and strong and healthy and grow you a ton of vegetables. So let's jump in. Well, you notice the tops of our little seedling trays look a little bit dry. They definitely need water. That's exactly the topic of today's video. Now, if you missed the first few videos in the Spring Garden series, you definitely want to go back and catch up. Grab a friend, subscribe, and then grow your spring garden along with us because we're having a lot of fun doing this. In case you're wondering, the question by far that I get asked the most is how often do I water my plants? And I get it. We're going to cover that actually today step by step. But before we do, I just want to share some common mistakes that all of us gardeners have made. The first one being we overwater our plants. Now, I totally get that. You want to make sure your plants have everything they need to grow nice and strong. So you drown them with water and you end up way overwatering and your plants die. Very common mistake. The second mistake that we've all made before is to underwater. Maybe you're kind of afraid of drowning your plants, so you back off on the water and then don't water enough, your plants dry out and they die. The third mistake that all of us have made, I'm sure, is that we totally forget about our plants and forget to water. We're busy, life happens, and we just don't get around to checking on our plants. In fact, I did that this week. I had a tray of cucumbers that was stuck back in my grow light closet, didn't pull it out to water it, and when I checked on it the next day, they were completely keeled over and dead, so I had to replant. So those are three common watering mistakes. A couple of fertilizing mistakes that people make kind of go along the same lines. They over-fertilize, over-love their plants, you get yellowing leaves, burned plants, or under-fertilize, not feeding your plants. Then your plants just don't have the nutrients that they need to grow nice and strong seedlings so they're ready to plant out in the garden when the weather gets warm. So we're going to cover how to do that all today, step by step. But first, we're going to take a little quiz. Question number one for our quiz: which seedling needs water? Seedling A, the squash, or seedling B, the cucumber? So write your answer down. We'll come back in just a moment and share the answer. Now for question two: how do you water your plants? A, do you water them like this? Or B, do you water like this? Or C, do you water like this? So I hope you have your answers written down. We're going to share the correct answers in just a moment. But before we do, we'd like to hear from another viewer. Now, the viewer this week is Jack. He's in a different zone than Nisha. He lives in Maryland, zone 7, and he's following along with the Spring Garden series, and we asked him to share his experiences with you today. So here's Jack.
Hi guys, this is Jack from Maryland zone 7. I just wanted to show you what I'm doing in regards to my seed starting. I just started my tomatoes last week and they're germinating really nicely. I've also got some herbs up in here, peppers way up there, and some lettuce down there. I am also hardening off my cool weather crops, which I started probably about 4 weeks ago, and they're doing very nicely. Hardening off slowly, giving them an hour or two of sun each day, because otherwise they'll burn, and that's a mistake I've definitely made in the past. I hope you're all as excited about spring as I am, and happy gardening.
Wow, Jack, great job. Your seedlings look absolutely amazing. So glad that you're following along with us. Now, Jack's doing what's called hardening off, like he mentioned, and that just refers to the transition process when you move your indoor seedlings to outdoors. And we're going to cover all that in a future video, so stay tuned for that. I wish there was a magic answer to the question of how often to water my seedlings. It would sure make it a lot easier for us, wouldn't it? But there are a couple of variables that watering depends on. First of all, where are you growing your seedlings? Is it a warm location or a cold location? That will determine how often you water. Or what are you growing your seedlings in? Do you have cups with soil? Do you have peat pellets? Because they tend to dry out or stay moist for different lengths of time. But there are two clues that you can look for that are really going to help you determine how often to water your seedlings. And now we're coming back to the answers to our quiz. Our first question was, which seedling needs water? And this is clue number one. Look at the color of the soil. The squash here, the top of the soil is a dark brown color, indicating that it doesn't need water. The soil is nice and moist. We're all good to go on this one. But the cucumber, look at the color of the soil. It's a lighter brown color, which indicates that it's dried out, and you definitely need to water your seedling. So clue number one, the color of the soil. So if your answer to question number one, which seedling needs water, was the cucumber, the one with the dry soil, then you're correct. So I'll share the correct answer to question number two in just a moment. But what I want to do first is to share clue number two to tell if your plants need water. And that is the weight of the container that they're in. So here I'm going to show you an example. These are 2 peat pellets with Market More cucumbers just planted last week, and they're sprouting, which is always very exciting. And the weight of the one with the light brown soil is a lot lighter than the weight of the one with the dark brown soil. This one's heavier, indicating that it has more moisture content. So here we have a good example of 2 clues, the color of the soil and the weight of the container that it's in. If you're a new gardener, this might sound very confusing, but don't worry about it. The key is to check your garden daily. And on your daily garden checks, you're gonna get to know with a little bit of trial and error, the correct weight of your seedlings, how they feel much lighter if they need water, a little bit heavier if they don't need water. And before you know it, by following these little clues, you're gonna be watering like a pro. Now for the answer to question number 2 of our quiz, how do I water my seedlings? Option A was drowning our seedlings. These poor little peat pellets, they're not looking so good, are they? Or option B was giving them a little trickle of water from the top. Or option C was bottom watering our seedlings. So if you answered option number C, you are correct. Congratulations and great job taking the quiz. Now the reason why we want to bottom water our plants, first of all, bottom watering is just that, pouring water into the bottom of a tray, then allowing the plants to soak the water up from the drainage holes in the bottom of your little seedling pots. Now there's a couple of advantages to bottom watering. First of all, the water wicks up from the bottom, it evenly waters your plants and more thoroughly saturates the soil so that your plants don't need watering quite as often. But the second reason, and one of the most important ones, is so that you avoid diseases. Now when you water from the top, not only can it displace the tiny little seedlings that are still growing, but it also can make the water splash from seedling to seedling, and that can cause diseases to spread throughout your seedling tray here. So always bottom water your plants whenever possible to keep your seedlings nice and strong and healthy. It also does help avoid mold growing on the top of your seedlings. You don't want your plants sitting in water all day, so after about a half an hour or so, or when you see the top of the soil turn this nice dark brown color, you want to pour off the extra water. And the reason for that is you don't want the roots getting too waterlogged. They need that oxygen in order to grow nice and strong and healthy. So I'm just going to pour the water in the tray off into my watering can and then use it for another use. Now these seedlings are sprouting absolutely beautifully in the DIY seed starting mix. So you definitely want to go back and catch that video if you missed it. It's a great way to start your garden on the cheap. Now a little trick here, you guys, if you have a hard time getting all the water out of the bottom of your trays here, you can just use a little turkey baster to suck up the rest. Because sometimes you might not have a full tray and it might be a little bit difficult to pour all that water off. So here's a good little thing to keep around the house. A lot of you probably already have this in your kitchen. And then just make sure that you drain all that water out of the bottom. Now if you have made the mistake of drowning your plants, no worries, your plants will probably survive a drowning or two, but I'm gonna go ahead and drain this water off these poor little drowned lettuce seedlings, and I'm sure they'll recover just fine. And this is Grand Rapids lettuce from the Spring Garden Seed Collection. Just planted these on last week's video. And guys, I hope you're having as much fun as I am seeing your little seedlings germinate and thinking about all the yummy vegetables we're gonna be eating very soon. Now I want to hydrate our poor little peat pellets that have dried out. Grab your kids, you guys. This is a really fun thing to do with them. They always love to see the peat pellets soak up the water. You can see how dry these are. They're very dry on the top. We have our one hydrated pellet right here that feels a little bit heavier, but I'm going to go ahead and water them. And here, like I said, we're going to bottom water. So we're just going to pour some water into the bottom of the tray. And then the pellets will move around in the tray a little bit. Don't worry about it. No big deal. But they're going to soak up the water, and the tops will turn a nice light brown color, and then the sides will also start to absorb the water and change to a darker brown color as well. Now these are Golden Jubilee tomatoes, again from Callie Kim's Spring Garden Seed Collection. So much fun to see these bust through the soil. Look at the tiny little seeds on the top. I just never get over the miracle of a tiny seed. And thinking about these golden jubilees, oh my goodness, they are so amazingly delicious. You are gonna love them too. So you can see the pellets are already soaking the soil up, or soaking the water up. And that darker brown color is moving up the sides of the pellets. And in just a few moments, the tops will be a nice dark brown color too. While our peat pellets are soaking up the moisture, let's talk fertilizing, how to fertilize your seedlings. A lot of people get confused about this too, either overlove or over fertilize your seedlings, or underfeed them and they don't have the nutrients that they need to grow. When your seedlings first grow, they have little baby leaves. These leaves are called cotyledons. This is a cucumber plant, but it doesn't look like cucumber leaves. It just has these little baby leaves. They don't need any extra nutrients at this point. There's nutrients in the soil, nutrients in the seed itself that feed it as it germinates. But once they get to be about 2 inches tall and have a couple sets of true leaves, like this little yellow squash here, you can see that this squash seedling has leaves that actually look like the leaves of a squash plant. So when they're about this size, a few inches tall, 2 or 3 sets of true leaves, they definitely need some extra nutrition to help them grow nice and strong and healthy. So I'm going to show you exactly how to fertilize your seedlings with this little tray right here. They are all ready and they definitely need a little bit of food to continue to grow and flourish. Now when it comes to fertilizer, easy does it on the fertilizer. You don't want to overdo it. What I like to do is use a water-soluble organic fertilizer, which means it dissolves easily in water. And I go about 1/4 to half strength. So I'm going to use a couple different fertilizers. First of all, the Vermistera worm tea is very, very good for root development. So it really helps the roots develop and grow very strong, healthy seedlings. So the normal dose would be about 3 to 4 ounces per gallon of water. So I'm going to just use a couple of ounces. A few capfuls should do it here. There's about 1 gallon of water in my watering can. Just pour it right in. And Vermistera worm tea also has lots of beneficial bacteria, which really helps keep your plants nice and healthy so they don't get diseases as they grow. And then I'm also going to use the Good Dirt plant food. This is super easy to measure. You need about 2 pumps per gallon. Now the wonderful thing about Good Dirt plant food is it's high in nitrogen. And nitrogen is what helps produce a nice green leafy growth for your seedlings. So 2 pumps in here. And I'm just going to stir it up. It's a great little food cocktail for your plants. And then we're going to bottom water this tray of seedlings here. We're just going to pour the water into the bottom of the tray. Now I like to feed my seedlings about once a week. And you can do this in a regular watering session. So just keep an eye on when the tops of the soil is dry, when your containers are a little bit lighter weight, indicating they need water. And about once a week or so, you want to give them a nice little feeding. And you will be amazed at how they continue to grow with this delicious organic plant food. And then they're going to be ready to plant outside in about 4 to 6 weeks. Now let's head back to our peat pellets and see how they're doing here. Looks like they've soaked up the water. You can see how the sides here are a nice dark brown color. The tops again are a nice dark brown color. This one was wilting just a little bit, but it'll perk up. So again, don't worry about it if you make some mistakes. You can always start over. Just kind of experiment, trial and error, see what works best for you. I like to try and water on a particular day of the week, but I always check my seedlings daily, except when I forget, to see if they need water, and then only water when they need it. That way you avoid over-loving your plants. Now that you know exactly what mistakes not to make when watering and feeding your seedlings, you are well on your way to growing a healthy, vibrant, delicious spring garden chock full of vegetables. And I cannot wait to hear about all your harvests. Now, if you haven't started yet though, jump in with us. We're growing with my spring garden seed collection and my book. In fact, everything we cover today is in chapter 3. So that way you'll have it all written down for you. So grab the Spring Garden Seed Collection and the book. I have them together on my website as a bundle. You can save $5. And I also wanted to offer you guys a 10% discount with the code GROW as a thank you for joining me on the Spring Garden series and for playing our fun quiz today. Comment below, let me know what you're excited to grow for spring. If you're growing along with us, spring is just a few weeks away. It's going to be so exciting to get these seedlings growing and then to plant them outside together. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.